There's a common cliche among writers on China when they talk about how everything works in China. They talk about guanxi, which is the Chinese term for personal ties. But there is emerging set of literature on how do actually people negotiate for development and aid in China, especially looking at how provinces bargain with Beijing for new funding. And there is a set of literature coming out of social sciences which particularly examines the bargaining power of the provinces when it comes to negotiating for high-speed railway and other type of development projects. Xia Ma, who is an assistant professor of political science at Peking University, argues that Beijing does not act as a unitary power or authority to distribute funding to the provinces, and instead the provinces have quite a bit of bargaining power when it comes to asking for high-speed railway, new road projects, and other kind of developmental funding. And he writes in his new book titled Localized Bargaining that there are certain provinces and cities where leaders who may have concurrent positions within the city as well as at the province level may have better bargaining capacity as they can attract more funding. And he also writes about how the provinces and cities have Beijing offices in the capital where they can send people to lobby the central ministries and ask for more funding. These Beijing offices can be as elaborate as a consulate of a foreign country in Beijing capital, and that's what they are there for, to lobby the central ministries. And we have learned through the new kind of literature that has come out on the provincial bargaining capacity that there is quite a bit of nexus between the provincial politicians as well as the property developers. And so there is a kind of an incentive for the provincial ministers as well as the politicians to bring certain projects to their region, and which comes back in terms of how the property developers give kickbacks to the ministers as well as the local politicians. And this process kind of promotes the whole idea of Beijing office, where the provinces use their money and their capability to lobby the central ministries and get favors from them. And we've heard of cases where the central ministries gave heads up to a province and the province bought a huge piece of land, and that allowed them to stay ahead in the game when it came to competing against other provinces for funding. And that's the kind of activities that go on at these Beijing offices. Ma estimates that at the height of the Beijing offices, the total revenue or the total amount of money that was flowing through these Beijing offices was approximately 1.4 billion US dollars, and this is back in 2010. Though we've seen that there has been some crackdown on the Beijing offices of smaller counties and entities which were below municipal level. This happened in 2010 when the State Council announced that the certain entities which are not exactly as big as a municipality or a province have to shut down. But these offices continue to operate, and they have quite a bit of capability and funding to get ministries to sign up and to help them get the projects to the cities. But this has promoted levels of corruption which were quite endemic between 2010 and up until Xi Jinping came into power in 2013-14. And some of the campaigns that Xi Jinping ran to crack down on corruption were partly to address the kind of corruption that was quite prevalent between the provinces and the central ministries, and it was promoting a kind of culture which allowed the provinces to even bribe directly or indirectly the ministries. But this has not stopped the provinces from seeking a kind of bargaining capacity to bring new projects to their cities. And to summarize, the reason why provincial ministers or local politicians might invest in these Beijing offices or lobbying the ministries is to ensure that they have the ability to go above the rank where they are at the moment. The promotions are directly tied to their ability to bring these projects to their region. And that's how the Communist Party functions. And therefore, if they want to end up in the national politics in 10 years from now, they'll have to make sure that they get the kind of public opinion on their side by bringing new and attractive projects to their region. But there are other factors which also play into which city gets most amount of funding. Cities which have historical or some sort of cultural connection to Chinese history are more likely to get funding, as well as cities which have ties to China's revolutionary history. That's the communist revolution we're talking about. They also are likely to get more funding as compared to any other random city in a province.